it's true. Like without going into too much detail, like I guarantee you, the money that the fighters pay us, the cut that we take is less than all the other competitors that we have in boxing. So 258.
You know what? Let's shout out Nipsey Hussle, because I think Nipsey Hussle was the original 258 shout her out, and it's the ethos of working one more hour, one more day harder than everyone else. And
No, can we go into that?
Can you touch on that?
We can, yeah, we can touch on it. Yeah.
I'd like you to touch on it because it was going to be a question that I was going to lead into. That's why I wanted you to name the fighters. Look, listen, everyone that's watching this, I was miming Lawrence behind the camera because that's the name I missed out.
Yeah.
Those of you that know me, I just keep it as it is. So I'll let you guys touch on it. This is your words.
Yeah. Well, so the Lawrence situation, look, like first and foremost, and this is not trying to be, I hope this doesn't come across in the wrong way, but to be completely candid with you, don't expect any loyalty, because at the end of the day, this is a business, and if someone thinks they're going to get a better deal elsewhere or they can make more money elsewhere, like that's going to be the driving factor behind their decision. So you can't expect any loyalty, really.
So let's talk to them. Like the stuff that they say, a lot of these channels, they'll say stuff when he's not there, but when he's there, they're all asking for selfies with him, and he'll still do their interviews, he'll still answer their questions. And there's a part of the business that I don't like seeing that, but he don't care. When he turns up, and he'll talk to everyone. He's doing his job. So
yeah, perfect.
Yeah. Well, we are here today with Will Harvey.
Hello.
You sound like an I don't know, a boy band, Will Harvey. Are you related to any?
No, I don't know. Is this a leading question?
It's not a leading question.
I've been told I look like Justin Timberlake a lot, but I don't see it.
Okay.
Personally.
So you know what soundtrack I'm going to use on the reel?
Okay.
Cry Me a River. I've already used it once this week. I'm going to use it again.
Nice.
Because
okay.
I like that song a lot.
It's a good song.
But we digress. October Red Boxing here with the lovely Will. Will is part of 258 management team. Today, we're here in Bournemouth in preparation for two of 258's fighters that are going to be fighting on the Billam Smith Chamberlain undercard. As we know, you've got Fraser Clark, and of course, you know, the Olympic sensation that is got everyone talking, Ben Whittaker. Not that you've got any favourites on your team.
Absolutely not. Of course not. I should say we've also got KD, head of operations, or chief operating officer, I should say, off camera, who will contribute, I'm sure, at some point.
He does. KD likes to make his cameo appearances, especially when he's not welcome.
Yeah, he's the man. He's the man pulling the strings. He's the man pulling the strings behind the scenes.
There we go.
Yeah.
Beautiful. But what I wanted to do this for, I know, kind of like got to know your team a little bit, your fighters a little bit. You guys have been extremely welcoming to me, so I feel like I've got to return the favour.
Thank you.
And let our viewers know, from your words, a little bit about, well, not a little bit, about 258.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave it over to you, and the opening question I'm going to ask is, how did it all start?
Yeah, it's an interesting one, and I got to thank you actually, because you're the one that's actually, we don't really do that many interviews. Certainly traditionally we haven't done that many interviews because I guess to date we haven't really felt the need to do it. Like we obviously do all of our work behind the scenes, and we like to think that our results kind of speak for themselves with the fighters that we work with and what they've achieved. But you've been pushing us to actually speak publicly a bit more, which I actually think is a very good thing for us to do. So I want to thank you firstly for getting us to do this. But how did it all start?
Before you do that, can you pull that mic down? I can see the road sign and name.
Oh, sorry.
So you know the mic, it just, the top of it.
Oh, okay, fine.
Yeah,
cool.
My bad. Sorry.
No stress. How did it start? And KD was here before. KD was here from the very, very start. So, but I'll try and give you a brief overview. So it all started. So AJ Boxing. It started as AJ Boxing. So AJ was signed. Well, right back to the very, very start, AJ was at a different agency, signed to a different agency, which is a larger company, where he met Freddie, who's our managing director. This is just after the Olympics, when he was turning pro with Matchroom, and they had the first probably 13, 14 fights, I think, with that a completely different agency.
Cornish was.
Can you hear him by the way? Yeah, okay.
So AJ was managed by an agency who looked after the likes of Jensen Button, I think maybe Lewis, but definitely his brother Hamilton and a few other people. He only went to them because he had this idea of changing the commercial outlook on boxing. So what he did was he went there, he knew that, look, let's try and get sponsors that aren't involved. Like you look at F1 and you can see all of the big brands, and you look at tennis, you can see Rolex, blah, blah, blah. But then you look at boxing, the same few brands are on the rings, the same few brands are involved, and it's looked at like a blood sport. So a lot of the big companies didn't want to get involved. You had the likes of, well, let's not name fighters, but the fights that went on, the swearing in press conferences, and it was a sport that people liked watching, just the big nights. And he thought, how can we change that? How can we change that? And obviously with the team up with Eddie and Sky, the ideas just started bouncing. But it did get to a point where AJ's always been this self-made guy. From when we were young, he's always wanted to do things his way and make a team and put it together himself. And like that was like his vision. So he got to a point where he had learned enough and he said, you know what? I'm just going to do it myself. So he teamed up with Freddie, who was already at the company he worked at before. And obviously I was always with him from even when he was with them. And he was all like, let's do this. We called it AJ Boxing. So it was AJ Boxing Management. And it was literally just him, just AJ's affairs. We were handling it from the start. And then what happened was, as time... Me. Oh yeah, so yeah, to be honest, and then Will came along. Do you know what's?
So it was 2015. It was 2015 when it first started. It was 2015 when it first started. And in fact, for this bit, let me just come over to Casey. It was 2015 when it first started. It was just AJ, and then so I joined at the end of 2016. So this was after the Brazil fight. So he'd won his world title, and then he defended it for the first time against Brazil. And at this time, it was all kind of like, this is when his career was really starting to kick off as the world champion. Regular pay-per-view fighter, etc. All the commercial stuff was starting to come in. So basically, Freddie was kind of stretched far too thin, and so he was looking for basically an assistant to join, which is where I started. And I initially started doing AJ's merchandise, which was like selling hats and t-shirts and stuff, but obviously with a view to eventually building out a management company. And that was a big thing when I first joined with these guys, that I always said, like, obviously I'll do the merchandise and stuff, but my long-term goal and ambition is to build a management company. And these guys aligned with that and were like, that's exactly what we want to be doing as well when the time is right. So that was basically me. That's the main reason why I came on board. And then that was the end of 2016. And then at that time, they just finished the Rio Olympic cycle. So then we started signing fighters at the beginning of 2017. Like March 2017, we signed Boazzi and Okoli. And that's when we started to make the change then from AJ Boxing to 258. And we really, so that's what, how long ago now is that? Like 5 years ago, something like that? Less than that, 4 or 5 years ago, something like that?
2006.
Is it 6 years? Fucking hell, yeah, 6 years, yeah. Yeah, so over the last 6 years, really, then we've then been building the 258 brand and have been signing fighters ever since then. But we've always done it like we get offers and we get fighters approaching us the whole time. But the business model that we adopted and want to continue to adopt this day is very much quality over quantity. Because basically, to give you an overview of what we do at 258, sorry if I'm rambling here, but so we're a 360-degree management company. So we do the sponsorship and commercial stuff for our fighters. We also do oversee the PR. We cover the PR in-house. We have an agency that we work with, Soapbox, but we brought that in-house, and so we cover the PR and oversee the PR for our fighters as well. And then we also do the in-ring stuff, which is negotiating promotional contracts, negotiating fight contracts, sparring partners, organizing training camps, deals with trainers, all of the stuff on the boxing side we cover as well. So we're really hands-on with all of the fighters that we work with. So naturally, when you're that involved with all aspects of the fighter's career, you can't do that with 20, 30, 40 fighters. There's just, our team's not big enough and there's not enough time in the day. So we've always focused on, it sounds a bit cliche, but it's very much quality over quantity. We want to be working with fighters that we think first and foremost have got the skill set to be world champions and operate at the top of the sport, but also have various other attributes that will enable them to kind of transcend outside of the sport. And no one's going to, no one's going to recreate what AJ's done. I think AJ's a once in a generation type fighter, but definitely you can try and follow the blueprint that he has, which is obviously being successful in the ring, but also then kind of transcending the sport outside of it and becoming a household name, where that's when the commercial stuff comes in. And then that's where all the kind of post-career planning comes in as well. So Fraser, for example, Fraser's just at the start of his career, but he's a bit older. He's still got plenty of years left in the ring, but we've already started putting in the framework and the groundwork for him post-career, making plans as to what he wants to do.
Strategy.
An exit strategy, exactly, yeah.
Something that goes further than boxing. So,
yeah.
Just to butt in, is what we try to have at 258 is we want you to know that you're a business in yourself. So we're not just trying to micromanage your career and be like, go and get some media training and do this style of training to be where AJ was. We want you to like create your own thing that when the time is right, like everything has an expiry date, whether we're with you past your career or not, we've helped set up a good foundation for you. Your money's right, your taxes are right, the family's right as well. We're a very family orientated people, so like even just trying to get your brother to come in and do a job that we do is something that we want you to do, because it takes some pressure off us. Do you just see what I'm saying? It's like it's given back to the boxers. When AJ started it, he said, look, I don't want you lot to give them no deals that I wouldn't take. And he was all like, and I don't want you lot to take a % that I wouldn't be comfortable taking. So we're not there trying to put people in slave contracts or I shouldn't even say that. But sorry, let's.
No, but it's true. Like without going into too much detail, like I guarantee you, the money that the fighters pay us, the cut that we take is less than all the other competitors that we have in boxing. Like it's really like, because we believe that if we do our job right, we're going to get them to a place where everybody's earning enough money and there's plenty to go around. We're not trying to take these crazy percentages, which happens in England, and it's even worse in America. If people understood the money that's taken off of fighters in America by management, it's mind-boggling. So
it's a business, and everybody's different. So we're not going to slander the way anyone else handles business, but our ethos is kind of for the fighter, by the fighter. So AJ's mindset is what trickles down, and that's what goes towards our other fighters. And if we're going to be honest, he gets branded as this businessman and this, like, obviously his achievements in the ring are his achievements in the ring, but that's what we're following, and that's what. And we're not saying come here and do it the AJ way. We're trying to find. Some of our fighters are completely like, no, I don't want to ride off that wave, but I like what you do, so let's do it that way. So it's just finding what's right for the fighter, but with our experience as well, putting that in there as well.
And helping them maximize it, basically. So again, just to use Fraser as an example, for he's got ambitions to be in broadcasting once he retires. So we're already going out, getting him broadcasting gigs, doing regular punditry slots. Like, AJ doesn't have that ambition after his career, so we're obviously facilitating him in a different way. But Fraser lets us know what he wants to do, and then our job is to then go in and just put the groundwork in and make sure that whatever he wants to do, he's maximizing it and he's having the most amount of longevity in it. So, I guess in a nutshell, that's maybe
in a nutshell.
A long-winded nutshell. That's what we do.
It's
Sorry.
not long-winded.
Yeah.
You've given us an overview. We know that. Well, I know now that Anthony Joshua wanted to set up a business. From what you're telling me, to give something back. He started off as an Olympian. He turned professional. He was managed by a company. He learnt the tricks of the trade. He said, you know what? I'm going to do this myself. And I'm going to build a solid team around me, and we're going to grow, and we're going to use my blueprint to help fighters. However, they're still going to have their own voices. We're going to financially invest in them and make them feel comfortable being part of our team, because we will treat them exactly how I would want to be treated.
100%.
So it's a good kind of like ethos to have. But I'm going to pull back a little bit, because you give me a lot of information to absorb, and I like to pick things apart.
Please,
Where did the name 258, because you've gone from AJ Boxing to 258. I understand the philosophy behind the name. Why did you choose that name?
So, I mean, if I'm being honest, I think it was this is AJ's it was all AJ's idea, really. The 258 thing. It was driven by him. Like, so 258.
You know what? Let's shout out Nipsey Hussle, because I think Nipsey Hussle was the original 258 shout her out, and it's the ethos of working one more hour, one more day harder than everyone else, and I think that's what run with for AJ. But for a long time, I didn't even clock that. That was it. I thought he did it. He was like, "What do you think of this?" And then he explained it. It was like, "All right, cool."
Because I think Broner keeps shouting it out as well. He seems to be kind of trying to.
A few people do, but
yeah, but yeah, that's basically the ethos, and it runs so true. Like AJ, if you see the way that AJ trains, like constantly we have to try and pull him back from doing more, because actually I think at some point it becomes detrimental to you. But like the way that AJ trains, any extra % that he can get, any little bit more like effort that he can put in, he's going to do it. And so really, that's his ethos, and that's his driving ethos, and that's what we, that's what basically forms our company, and that's in a nutshell where the name came from. All very much AJ's idea.
So I'm going to put it back to you then. Can you reel off a list of all of your fighters that you've got?
Sorry, go on.
A list of all of your fighters that are with 258 at this time.
Can I name all the fighters in our stable? Yes, I can, yeah. God, you're going to put me on the spot. So, at this current time, every single fighter we have: Joshua Boatsi, Fraser Clark, Ben Whittaker, Campbell Hatton, Suleiman Sissoko, Anthony Herrera, Chris Ousley, Shannon Ryan, we said Campbell, Anthony Joshua, Kez Ashfaq. Fuck, I really hope that's it. I think that's it, isn't it? That's 10. I always say we got 10. No. Can we go into that?
Can you touch on that?
We can, yeah, we can touch on it. Yeah.
I'd like you to touch on it because it was going to be a question that I was going to lead into. That's why I wanted you to name the fighters. Look, listen, everyone that's watching this, I was miming Lawrence behind the camera because that's the name I missed out. Those of you that know me, I just keep it as it is. So I'll let you guys touch on it. This is your words. Yeah.
Well, so the Lawrence situation, look, like first and foremost, there's no bad blood between any of us and Lawrence. Like from our side anyway, there's no hard feelings. I think fundamentally what happened was that, firstly, I think we did a great job for Lawrence. I think we took him from the Olympics and really we put a lot of effort and a lot of our weight and name behind promoting him in the right way and getting him the right opportunities. And I think commercially we did very well with him, and I think we got him the right fights and we got him the right deals for those fights when they came around. But I think sometimes there comes a stage in a fighter's career potentially, and maybe even he's looked at what AJ's done and maybe thought that he'd probably like to do the same thing, but there comes a time in a fighter's career where they get to a certain level where I think potentially they want to go and do their own thing and bring it in-house with his own team that he's kind of had, like his friends and stuff that he's had around him for a while. So unfortunately for us, like we wanted to continue working with him, but he came to us and said that that's what he wanted to do. And so, you know, at that point when a fighter says that that's their ambition and that's the way in which they want to go, like, who are we to kind of stand in the way of that and stop it? Like at that point, you're not going to hold them back and say, no, this is like, you're under contract with us, blah, blah, blah. Like we want to keep working with you. Like I said, it's been left on good terms. I think we did a good job for him, but that is the direction that he wanted to go in. And we have to respect that. And we will always wish him the best of luck. We will always be supporting him from afar now, unfortunately, but you know, it was a decision that he wanted to make, and we weren't going to stand in the way of that. And look, I know he's in a potentially difficult situation with a few things that are going on in his career at the moment, but that's now for him and his new team to sort out. And from our side, like I said, we wish him nothing but the best. Personally, like Lawrence was the first guy that we signed. He was the first guy that I managed myself. KD's known him for 10 years. Like he's always going to hold a really special place personally for us. So we wish him nothing but the best, but he's off doing his thing now, and that's where it's been left.
Fair enough. I mean, we're all learning every single day. We all learn. We all get lessons in life. Some of them are really beautiful ones.
Yeah.
And sometimes we kind of like put them back because the ones that really and I'm talking personally here, we're all adults. The ones that scar us are the ones that leave sort of like, not saying a bad taste, but the ones that didn't go the way you expected them to go. Like you said, he's the first fighter that you signed. KD's known him for 10 years. On a learning basis, then, like you said, you wish him all the best from afar. You know, I'd say the same thing. I really would, because we are professionals. But in relation to learning then, and, you know, possibly not preventing, but having a holistic view on managing a fighter, is there anything that you've learned moving forward?
I think definitely two things mainly is to, and this is not trying to be, I hope this doesn't come across in the wrong way, but to be completely candid with you, don't expect any loyalty, because at the end of the day, this is a business, and if someone thinks they're going to get a better deal elsewhere or they can make more money elsewhere, like, that's going to be the driving factor behind their decision. So you can't expect any loyalty, really, particularly when it comes to the business of boxing. That's probably one of the biggest things that I've learned, because me and Lawrence were really close. I thought it was a solid relationship, and then it went the way that it went. So that's one thing that I've learned. But then also at the same time, me personally, and me and KD speak about these sort of things the whole time, but like, when it comes to business, again, particularly in boxing, you can't take anything personally, because if you were to sit around, like with the Lawrence situation, if we were to take it personally, like, you fucking like, and get really hurt by it, like, you stew on it for a long time, it turns your mindset a bit negative. I think that affects your decisions further down the line. And if you dwell on it, it generates negativity in your mind. So you have to really focus on not taking things personally and just move on. Like, it's done now, it's sweet, it is what it is. 258 will survive without Lawrence. We've got other fighters, we're doing good business, like, wish him all the best, we move on. Don't dwell on it, because the second you dwell on it, and we've seen it, and look, this is me, I'm 6-7 years into the boxing game, I haven't been in 15-20 years like other people, so maybe it's harder at that point, but you see some of these older guys that have maybe had a similar situation, and they're bitter, you know, they dwell on all of these things and they hold grudges, and then further on down the line they're making decisions that maybe they want to just kind of get back at the people that have screwed them over, but actually that's not the right decision that you should be making. So, like, yeah, don't expect loyalty, but don't take it personally when you don't get it, you know. So
I think, sorry, just to butt in, my stance on it as well is, when you look at what I said earlier, is that we're actually preparing people for this moment. So I think one thing that we've had to learn is that we prepared him with all the tools to go and sail a ship himself. So we can't be upset that it's happened, but it does upset you because you gave them
the whole pass.
You gave it to them, and I wouldn't do anything differently, because this is it. When you sit down with a young black boy from Hackney who has dreams and aspirations, and he tells you what he wants, and he's got a brother, he's got a close-knit group of friends, similar to how my come up with AJ was, and it's somewhat inspiring. I'm now looking at them guys there that are managing Lawrence and saying, all right, you've got the ball, I've thrown you the ball, let's see what you do with it. And our phone is always open for a phone call. We're not gonna turn our back, the door's not closed. But I think for me, it's just like understanding that this is what comes with it. You don't know when that day is going to come, but this is why people are here. And it's not the first person that's gone their own way. I'll openly say it, we don't represent Ramla Ali anymore. She's managed by her husband, and they are doing exactly the same. It's called Panther House. We'll give them their credit. They're doing amazing things. They're also representing Richard Riakpour. But there you go. Boxing's a game of, like, you have to learn. You can't just come in and be stupid and just let somebody manage you without doing anything. We're letting fighters see their contracts. We're talking them through these points. It's not just, here's the paper, sign it and trust us. No, it's like, okay, there you go. So the next time you do your contract, you're going to know what was there. You're going to probably add things yourself in. But I think it's just, it's a toughness in management that you've got to understand that you're preparing people for this moment. So I'm happy to see somebody taking a leap of faith and say, yeah, you know what, it's time. So it's a shame, because the way boxing works is the investment at the start in people is quite low, and you're trying to get them to that stage where it starts reaping the rewards back to you for the time and money you've put into someone. But as we know, most boxers make their money at the end.
Okay.
And that's where they choose to do things themselves and want to hold on to it. So it's fine, but it's learning that now.
But at the same time, don't think that it's like an easy job. I sometimes think like we speak about this the whole time. People think like, and they say just, oh, you guys must have the best job ever. Like you're so lucky, blah, blah, blah. But I think people just see the pictures on Instagram of you ringside at a fight or you in a change room and they think that's basically all you do, you chaperone them. But it's not. This job is hard, it's fucking stressful so much of the time. And that's why I think sometimes these fighters, they might want to go and do it themselves with their own team, but like, let's see where they are in 4, 5, 6 years' time, so they've got the longevity, because it is not easy, this game, once you actually step into the shoes and you have to do all the stuff that I mentioned at the start for the fighters, and there's a pressure and a level of expectation from them, mainly because of the success that we've done with AJ and other fighters, for you to deliver for them, and it's not easy. So like, people look at it and be like, oh, I can do that job, but they'll quickly find out it's not as straightforward as you think it is.
Let me just, I've defaulted this to 30.
No worries.
There's something that you kind of like touched on there, and I like the fact that you guys have been quite open about the lessons that you're learning, because you are relatively a new company yourselves. One of the things that you've touched on, and honestly, sort of you failed to realise, but you're strumming my pain with your fingers, singing my life with your words. You're actually teaching me, because you do get your fingers burnt in this business. But it's about, like you said, it's about moving forward. It's about taking those lessons on and not letting them ruin potential future opportunities, or holding yourself back, putting off your own nose to spite your face, that kind of philosophy, because you do see it. And we don't need to name names, but one of the words that I always say is, don't get bitter, get better. Every day is a school day, and once you embrace that, you can move on. And that's what we're going to do here. You've touched on a couple of things that wasn't public knowledge. One of them was a rumble, bit of a gossip, but there we go, and we move forward. So we talk about 258 then. I wanted to know, is it just boxers that you manage?
No is the answer. So we have, and this is probably also more of a long-term view, but so 258 management manages boxers. The only clients that we work on are boxers. But in the last 2 years, we started essentially a sister company, or like a spin-off company, called 258 Protégé, which manages and represents professional cyclists. We have another team in the office that actually handle all the cyclists. I think we've got about 8 to 10 cyclists that we've signed and are building out. Jamie Barlow, he's the guy that heads it all up. Lovely guy, and that's probably 2 years old. And then
I'm going to be working in football as well. So I've got friends who are working in football already. They know who they are. And we're going to be going there as well. So
that's our longer term view. And I don't know if that's maybe something that happens more prominently when AJ decides to hang up his gloves or not, but very much so.
It starts soon.
Okay, yeah. So we've been speaking about it for ages, and I think there's a lot of
ethos, quality over quantity. You're not going to
exactly. There's a lot of transferable skills from managing boxers to managing or representing footballers. I think when it comes to contract negotiations, dealing with clubs.
Is off the radar, okay?
Yeah, King's on smoke now. But yeah. But you're right. You're actually right. But like, basically that's where we're heading, and football very much is the next on the list, and we will be getting into football in the in the mid to long term future, probably mid future. We'll be getting into it. But right now, what we work on is strictly boxing, and we have another team that do the cycling, and then the football thing will be, we'll look at that in due course. But right now, our day to day is very much boxers.
It's good that you've got kind of like different heads in different niches of sports business, because there's nothing worse than having a jack of all trades and master of none. Like you said, you're still in the learning process. You've got contacts in various different sports. You've got the protege side that is looking at the cyclists. KD wants to get into the football. I know that he was somebody that's always been keen in football, because I'm sure you said you used to play yourself, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a baller,
Nothing to scream and shout about. don't want to be one of them kids that had the injury and blah blah blah.
I'll find a little miss for that.
So let's
I'll put a bit of
let's not do that.
a little
But
miss out of
But yeah.
injury.
It all crosses over. It all crosses over. The brands that we work with, the people that we know, it is all going to cross over into all sports. So I'm not going to write anything off, whether it's tennis, football, cricket. If it makes money, we're going to come and make some, okay?
Yeah. I like the sound of the tennis, if I'm completely honest.
Yeah, tennis.
I like tennis. I like tennis.
Yeah, I love tennis.
Because I think that
but tennis, I think, is more like commercial stuff. Like I said, we King's right. We on the commercial side of things, we have great connections, a lot of big brands. So like tennis, like I don't know how it works with on-field management of tennis players, but certainly commercially, if there's tennis players out there, we can plug them into. Like even now, we could plug them into brands and do deals. And we have done deals like. We've done deals for athletes that aren't involved directly in our sport that we haven't signed. Like we've kind of joined dots together. We've done it a bit already. So like on that side of golf as well, like we've got a good solid foundation of commercial like work and contacts mainly through AJ and then all of the fighters that we've worked with subsequently. So yeah, I think on that, like, you know, we can do bits now. Like, you know, if anybody's interested wants to get in touch, like we can do deals now, definitely.
We're gonna touch on that, but another sport, and this is me being selfish again. Not that I'm selfish. Have you ever thought, because Lewis Hamilton F1, is that anything that you've thought about doing it? Because he's quite keen. To help.
We've done bits in F1. We've done bits in F1 already. Yeah.
We've got something.
Well, one thing we've done one thing.
It's going to be the timing this year, but Silverstone was meant to be a 258 F1 link up. All our boxes were going to go there. AJ was going to wave the flag. Like, it was going to be mad, but the timing of camps hasn't made it happen. But we'll put it
But in due course, like I said, we've already done work in F1. So like in due course, yeah, like I said, we can operate. Like I think we can do. There's stuff to be done in all of these sports, but like I said, I don't want people to think that now we're like getting all big for our boots and going like very much like our focus is boxing and we want to like do the best for our boxers now. But at the same time, we are just putting things in place for a growth of the company in the next few years that we can kind of action when it makes sense. And cycling was the first one of that. And like I said, then we'll look at football and whatever else makes sense.
Yeah, you got a rule.
And Freddie, our managing director, like, you know, he's going to sit there and he will oversee all of that stuff. So like a lot of his job will be looking at future planning for the company and certain directions that we want to go in. So that would be partly Fred's job as well to look at those new opportunities that we can bring. So
when you talk about like the strategy building, have you got like I don't know, maybe a strategist? If you guys like brainstorm, write things down, you've got connections in the right places because you are. I'm, you know, like you said, you don't need to blow smoke. You're in a very good position. You've got very good athletes. You're connected to promotional companies. Therefore, it makes it global.
Yeah.
So when you're putting these ideas together and, you know, maybe putting them into paper, what's your kind of like procedure for that? For actually like, you know, crossing the T's, dotting the I's and making it actually happen.
Yeah.
Like for the Procha Day, that's been done. We'll use that as an example.
So do you know what it is? It's just a constant open dialogue between the team. Like we have group chats, we have weekly catch-ups where we all put our heads together. And a lot of these meetings are what's going on day to day now in our fighters' career and stuff. But then a chunk of those meetings are going to be allocated to like future planning really and directions that we all want to move the company in. Now, more often than not, that will happen when AJ is out of camp because AJ is obviously involved in a lot of these decisions as well.
Isn't he?
Yeah. Oh, he's very he likes to be as hands-on as he can be in the company, but he's still got a career to take part in. So like when he's in training camp, those conversations don't happen as much. But certainly it boils down to an open dialogue between us all, and we're all kind of talking, and we're all on the same page with where we want to be going as a company and what our vision is. And the cycling thing, for example, it wasn't necessary that we wanted to go specifically into cycling, but we decided a year ago, this is after the pandemic coming out of the lockdown, I was like, right, I think we want to kind of move into other sports now, like not necessarily spread the risk, but like let's look and try and see if we can kind of operate in other areas and try and grow a bit. And Jamie, I think, came through a connection of, was it Freddie's? Yeah, he's Freddie. Freddie knew him from, Freddie's a really keen cyclist. He loves it. So he kind of knows people in that industry, knew Jamie, and said, look, is this like Jamie was with an agency who was just leaving. It was just a timing thing, really. And he was like, look, you're leaving your agency. You want to try and take a load of cyclists with you. Would you be interested in linking up with our brand and our identity and our platform and trying to make something work? And then that's how the deal was done. It was quite organic, really.
I'm gonna put it out there as well. I'm a believer in working with people who are experts in their fields. So we're not closing it off to this is just a small group of people. If you think you can bring something, and you're already working in that industry, like I said, got my friends in football. When that time comes, it will be a link up with those guys, and it's not just one specific friend; it's a few. But even the other ones, let's work together and let's marry it up, because you've got your expertise, we've got ours. When you put it together, it will be great. We're not trying to just steamroll through as this small little knit. But reiterating, boxing is the focus right now. So let's get back to talking boxing.
True.
We can talk boxing, and one of the things I'm going to ask, and this is something that I think, and it's also something that the fans think, Anthony Joshua brought a lot of eyes to the sport. I remember that there was a while ago when I used to go to pubs and drink alcohol. It doesn't happen anymore. But I remember seeing him get the gold medal put on, and everyone was talking about him. And I remember falling off the bar stool, and it's not because I was inebriated. I just thought, who the hell is that? And that was my initial thought. And from that day, I followed him through his career. I saw him. I liked the way he carried himself. I liked his attitude, his demeanour, the fact that he'd speak to everybody. The further he got up the ladder, his prosperous career that he had, he started to disassociate with the public. The management team was there, and us as fans and me as an interviewer feel like we can't get to him. We want to speak to him. I know that everything he says is twisted upside down. I understand that.
But how do you mean by who? What, by the public? You mean?
I get the people commenting on my videos about this, that, and the other. The ones that are sat on their couch, the ones that think they know everything about boxing, but they don't. But the thing is, it just seems like AJ is hard to read. You mentioned micromanaging earlier. You don't micromanage. But sometimes, and I'm just going to be honest. If we feel like we can't get near
understand
him,
that.
I want the public to get to know who he is. But we feel like we can't get that.
Understand that completely. But do you know what it is like? To give you an honest answer, it is a very difficult thing. I think when you talk about how in touch he is with the public and stuff, like those early days, he was a member of the public. Do you know what I mean? Like he had come from nothing. He had nothing. He was just a hungry guy starting out his career, trying to make it in professional boxing. I think when you reach a certain level of success, money, circles that you move in, naturally, maybe the general public then can't relate to you as easily. I don't know, that might be a feeling why you think that people have maybe felt a bit disjointed from him. But then also, really purely from a logistical standpoint, like the demands on him from a media perspective around fights is so overwhelming, like you wouldn't believe it. So to go around and give time, which he does try and do as much as possible, but to give time to every single outlet and to speak to everybody on the same kind of level, in the same kind of way, is so hard around his training and around the fights, because his fights are such an international event now that you have literally hundreds of media turning up. So you can really only allocate a certain window of your time before you got to go back to training and sleep and rest and recover. And unfortunately, like, this is the PR guy's job, is to basically filter out and say who is going to give you the biggest exposure, get the message across, and sell the fight in the most effective way as quickly as possible. Yes. And unfortunately, that's usually ESPN, Sky, DAZN, BBC, done, out. Like, and so I think that's why people like yourselves and other, like, even like we get it from like IFL, we get it from IFL as well, who like have been there from the very start at the biggest boxing platform. But it's hard to even give those guys time with AJ when they want it, because, like I said, for those reasons,
the attitude of his fights and the requirements that come with where he is, it's like, if you said something earlier about not being with the people. In my eyes, he's still outside. He's still going places that he's always been going. It might not be like, if I look at his time, like he's given the same amount of time, but it's spread out to so many more people. So at the start, you could say IFL could come to the gym and they'd get an hour interview with him. And that's after training, before he's even refueled. Blah, that's taken out of his recovery time, but he'll still be doing that. But now it's that with how many more platforms. So that hour is still getting taken out of his day, but you're not seeing it because you're just seeing 10 minutes of IFL as opposed to you're used to seeing an hour. So my argument is that he's still there. When I look, where was I? I was in Saudi the other day and he wasn't even in Saudi yet, but met a guy, got speaking, and the guy was from like Qatar or something, and he showed me he's got a picture with AJ. He met AJ in Spain on holiday. I feel like the guy's so accessible. Everyone's got a selfie with him, and then we've got comments like, "Oh, he's not with the people." He definitely is. He's just in more places than he's ever been.
When I say more with the people, I mean, like I said, with the interviews that he's had, people will twist what he says. So has that had an effect on him wanting to speak to people? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. Now, do you know what? You might have seen me on social. There's certain outlets I don't want him to talk to, and but then when we get there, he's like, "No, let's talk to them." It's like, let's talk to them. Like the stuff that they say. A lot of these channels, they'll say stuff when he's not there, but when he's there, they're all asking for selfies with him, and he'll still do their interviews. He'll still answer their questions, and there's a part of the business that I don't like seeing that, but he don't care. When he turns up, and he'll talk to everyone. He's doing his job. So that's how he sees it. I see it a lot different. I'd rather him not talk to some of these outlets. I'd rather him just blast some of these people, but he's all like I don't know, it's water off his back, but to me, I'm there a bit emotionally angry. Like, don't talk to him. I see what he said on social. And he's like, no, I'll chat to him. Like, if he's going to say it, then he can say it to me. Oh, he doesn't. Okay, cool. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's more on them than him.
In a nutshell, I think, no, basically, he doesn't really, he's not concerned with it.
Yeah. Well, it's good to get your perspective, but you have to remember, you're on the inside, you know him. We're on the outside, we don't know him like that. And like I said, there's media outlets like myself, the smaller channels. Fair enough, we're not going to get the big views. You know, we're smaller channels. But could we get the best out of him? Could we show who he really is? You know, because he seems to have, he's more corporate now. Yeah. He's pausing before he answers his questions.
But how did you find, when you had your interview with him, how did you find it was like, do you think he was being corporate and all PR, or was he speaking on a level?
He was more relaxed. But I understand he's cautious of what he says. Yeah. I do get that. And the reason why I know that is because I've said it before, we're quite similar in certain things that we do. Don't know why, but we're similar. KD, I'm sure you can relate. So he will pause and think, I'm going to answer this, but let me make sure I think so it comes out properly so people can't twist what I'm saying. Yeah. That's what we get off him. I spoke to AJ off camera when I went to the gym. I had a little accident, but we won't talk about that. And he was probably one of the most down-to-earth, the same guy that you see, banter, laugh, joke, but the public doesn't see it.
Right, okay.
Of that accessibility being reduced. That's where I'm coming from. I'm not dissing him. Yeah.
Well, maybe people...
Do you understand what I'm saying?
People get a sneak peek. We can't talk about the sneak peek, that's fine. But...
What's your sneak peek? Okay, yeah. No, look, you will see a lot more... Yeah. You will see a lot more into him, but one thing I will say as well, and this is for whoever's listening, is part of it is chemistry as well. When you're talking to someone, if you fuck with them, sorry to swear, then you're going to get something out of them. So my message, even to the bigger outlets, is that when you're looking at who you're hiring and you're looking at who you want to interview, you need to get someone who can understand them, who can talk to them. So to get something out of them, it's like knowing your audience. I know there's sayings of I'm the same in every room and blah, 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 but I'm not with that. I'm about knowing your audience, knowing who to talk to and how to get the message clearly out to them. So if I'm talking to you, you'll hear me a different way. If I'm talking to this person, because it's going to that audience, you might hear me speaking so that they can understand how it is. It's just how it goes. And there's a game to play in a certain aspect, and I think we're all able to play it very well. And those who can't are the ones who are bitter and jealous and will say certain little things. But I understand what we're doing, and we're not doing bad at it. So Let me get back to
We-
Will. This is
yeah. No, it's not. It's not. It's not.
No, you can't do that because I keep moving the camera and it's
Yeah.
like-
No, KD, you don't run away, man. We do. We got to go to the weigh-in soon, but
We've got
unless we want to do a part 2, but
we can do a part 2.
Yeah.
But we can do a part 2. I don't know what we've got 3 weeks to his match.
to Saudi, yeah. Yeah.
And I know you lot are going to be.
Now, this
mad
isn't
into
about
it.
AJ though. This is
It isn't, but that's how I was going to finish it off.
Yeah.
Because we've covered kind of like the ethos and the strategy around
Yeah.
258. We've discussed
We've got
fight.
Kez Ashback as well.
Kez Ashak's fighting that on Friday tonight, even. Sorry,
Where is that?
in Birmingham.
Oh, is he?
Yeah. Yeah, Benga's up there with him.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's good to get him back out.
Yeah. Well, what do you want to talk? Can we run through the fighters? What the plans are for the fighters?
Do it.
So
You've got
Fraser.
5 minutes.
Okay, Fraser. And was there other stuff that you wanted to talk about?
Well, I only wanted to ask about the delay in the broadcaster.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
If there's like any you being the management.
Yeah.
How do you deal when say the cross promotion thing isn't working?
Yeah.
And maybe bickering going
Yeah,
on between
yeah.
the two. How do you deal with that
So,
as a management company?
in a nutshell, for this fight, it's a pretty straightforward one, to be honest. So the way in which the show is structured, it was a total buyout by the team in Saudi, which means that they then, so essentially the fighters receive a fee, and then they take control of sponsorship, gate, and broadcasting rights. So the delay with the Sky Sports thing was for no other reason other than Saudi have the rights, they own the rights to the show. They then have to go to market, speak to all the various interested parties, of which there was undoubtedly loads from around the world, field all the offers, and then decide which broadcast partner was the right one for them and for their ambitions and for the show. So talking about the delay, really, it's actually nothing to do with us at this point. Normally, we are involved in those conversations, but with the show being a buyout, we hand over all the rights and responsibilities to the team over there, and it's on them to then go out and get the right deal for them. So really, the delay was out of our control. You'd have to probably speak to the team over there or the team at Sky to figure out what the delays were. But these things are always take longer than you think. Like, you got to cross the I's, dot the T's. There's various back and forth with contracts and lawyers. Like, these are complex deals to work out. So it's not something that gets done like overnight. So they are always quite an arduous process. This one, took a bit longer than we probably expected. Not ideal because you want adequate promotion. Do you know what I mean? Like, the broadcaster got announced, right? Exactly, which is not ideal, but it's the way that it worked for those various teams. So to be honest, we weren't involved in those conversations, so it was really nothing to do with us. But yeah, that's why there was a delay probably.
Fair enough. And I spoke to Adam Smith yesterday from Sky, and he's confidently said that Ben Whittaker will be on that card.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that you guys can confirm?
Yes, all but confirmed. Yes, yeah.
Or
Like there's yes, yeah, exactly. All that stuff's got to be ironed out. But so we have slots on the show. We were supposed to have Suleiman Sissoko on the card. In the move down to 147, he was going to box the number 7 in the WBC. Great fight for him. Unfortunately, literally second spar of camp, bust his hand. He's out for a couple of months, so we've had to pull him off the card, which is really, really gutting for him and for me. Like it was really disappointing to hear that. But anyway, so that opened up some more slots. So all being well with Ben Saturday, it'll be a quick turnaround. We'll get him out to Saudi, finish camp there for probably fly him out early August, finish camp over there, and then he'll be on the card as well.
Brilliant stuff. Listen, I know we've got the weigh-in to go to.
Mm-hmm.
Will, KD, I'm extremely grateful for your time.
No problem.
Time is something that I always say you can never get back.
Yeah.
So choose who you spend it with wisely.
Yeah.
You guys,
You'll never get this hour back. It's a waste of an hour.
You give me an hour, and I'm extremely grateful.
Yeah. And thank you for kind of pushing us to do it, because I know that we need to do more of it as a company, definitely, and we will do more of it as a company. But you've been a driving force behind it, so I want to say thank. Maybe not KD. KD can jump in and out of the interviews. You're good, but I don't understand why you don't want to do it. But anyway, that's a conversation for another day.
He's done a bit today.
Yeah, exactly. So let's ease him in a bit. But thank you for asking us to do it as well.
It's okay. I'm still sponsorless, but we'll leave it there.
That really. Let's talk.
With the 258 team, Will, Harvey, and KD. Hi, and thank you for watching October Red Boxing. Like, subscribe, and tap the bell for notifications. You can also find us on Instagram at October Red Boxing and on Twitter, October Red UK. And remember, At October Red, we stay ready.